Okay, I'm waiting for the punchline. This has to be the most difficult film I've had to review this year. I genuinely could not make up my mind when I walked out of the theater. The credits rolled, and I was left with so much uncertainty as to what I just saw, and that really upsets me. Joker is my favorite film from 2019. The Joker from DC Comics is one of my favorite villains of all time. The 2019 film was so unique and different from everything else that I had seen in the comic book genre. It just stood on its own, and it worked as this vacuum universe project that was there once and never needed to be touched ever again. You had a standalone project that you could invent your own headcanon as to what would follow later, and that is perfectly fine by me. For a very long time, they were talking about a sequel and saying how Todd Phillips could be brought back to direct, and Joaquin Phoenix felt really attached to this character, and he didn't realize it until after he had finished filming and everything. And I was just kind of ignoring that, hoping that that would go nowhere because DC was in a fever of just confirming random projects left and right, and they never had any weight to them. So I was just hoping this one would get swept under the rug, but naturally, because it was the highest grossing R-rated film for 5 years running up until Deadpool and Wolverine, they needed to recapture that magic of a money printing machine, and doesn't seem like it's going to work that way this time. I mean, for starters, you threw $200 million at this film. That's just a stupid amount of money for any movie, let alone a Joker sequel. Okay, let's just talk about what worked. The performances are excellent. The cinematography is perfection, and the score still sounds awesome, even though it is kind of reusing the same stuff from the original movie. But Hildur Guðnadóttir has made some incredible music for both these films, and that cannot be ignored. There's a lot of shots in this movie that I genuinely loved. I think Todd Phillips did a great job of framing this up and working with his cinematographer to make this film beautifully well made and visually striking. Joaquin Phoenix picks up this role like he never left it. He's doing just as good in this as he did in the other one. Really committing to the character, and all the other supporting cast I think did a really good job as well. I didn't really have any fault with any of that. It's just more so baked into the narrative, the pacing, and the flow of this whole film. You have a 2-hour and 18-minute movie here, and it's mainly because you have all this other crap packed onto basically a surrogate epilogue to a movie that never needed one. The beginning section of this movie is him living in Arkham and forming his relationship with Harley Quinn, or as she goes by, Lee. And then we kind of transition into this courtroom procedural drama where Joker is on trial, and we're bringing in all these witnesses and cross-examining them, and we're having all this legal debate between him and his lawyer and the prosecutor, who's Harvey Dent, and the judge, and all this other crap going on. Then you'll cut back to him in lockup and him being tossed around by the guards and whatever. And without giving any specific plot details away, that's your movie. Yes, there are musical segments of this movie. There's not like huge choreographed dance numbers like you would get from, I don't know, an old Disney movie or Wizard of Oz or something like that. But I can excuse most of this considering it's in his head for the most part, and Joker's a messed up dude, and yeah, he's gonna fantasize and whatever, and that's not a big deal to me at all, really. I don't care about that. But when he's singing in the real world, that's where my immersion is going to start breaking. Thankfully, whenever he starts singing in front of other people, they're kind of looking at him like, what are you doing, dude? It just doesn't help that they're also playing music in the background while he's singing, and it's just kind of like awkward. Like, it would be more awkward if there was no music, but you could have built up some kind of creepy factor with Joker just as he's like, singing to someone. But if you look at the final scene of the last movie where he's singing That's Life by Frank Sinatra to his psychiatrist or whatever in Arkham while they're playing the music in the background too. Some people get their kicks stopping on a dream. That's essentially the in real world musical elements that people are talking about. And then you got the crazy fantasy stuff that isn't actually reality, and that's a totally different thing. But does that add anything to the movie? No. No, you could cut that entire thing out and you'd probably just have a shorter movie. They just clearly didn't feel like writing dialogue and wanted to replace that with licensed music lyrics because that's expressionist or something. Also, they were probably thinking if we can get Lady Gaga to sing in our movie and play Harley Quinn, people are going to come see that and that'll make us money because recognizable celebrity. And quite frankly, I think you could cut Harley Quinn out of this film entirely and it wouldn't change much at all. There might be a little bit of a character relationship you'd want to fill in that gap with Arthur just to give him any sense of motivation, but it is kind of annoying how Joker was really finding himself by the end of the first movie, and now he's living vicariously through Harley because he literally is handcuffed physically and metaphorically throughout this entire film. If he's not getting beaten up by the Arkham guards while he laughs defenselessly, he's just sitting in a courtroom and that's literally all he's doing. The only action, if there's any, is again inside his fantasy. So really, he as a character in the real world feels pretty impotent, not only as the Joker, but as a protagonist. Speaking of impotence, I don't know what the deal is with Joaquin Phoenix and his movies lately, but if I have to see one more movie of his where he is filming the most awkward sex scene ever, I really don't want to see that. I was really hoping I wouldn't have to see a Joker and Harley sex scene in this movie, and keep the kids at home. Just keep them at home. It's not gratuitous or anything. It's just weird and out of pocket and just didn't even need to be there. Now, I will say there were plenty of moments that got a chuckle out of me, just this dark kind of humor that the film is going for that I think it nails for the most part. I mean, it is the Joker after all, so he's going to have some sick and twisted sense of humor, but there's no dominant Joker force throughout this film. In the first film, it was so unique because we didn't understand what this Joker was yet. He was still in his early years. We hadn't seen him become the Clown Prince of Crime yet, and there's just so much ambiguity to his character, and that's what builds intrigue and makes it so intense. Like when he's just staring at Hoyt in the very beginning after he got the sign stolen from him, and you don't know, is he going to kill Hoyt? What's going on? Or even when he's just sitting in Sophie's apartment with his fingers to his head saying, I had a bad day. You don't know, oh my gosh, like, is he going to snap? Is he about to jump into Joker and kill someone right now? In this, you literally have none of that because he is so restrained. He can't do anything, and that makes it so boring. This plot just meanders left and right, and really, there's not a whole lot there. The whole court proceeding thing, it honestly reminded me of the Seinfeld finale, where they brought in all the characters that you knew from the previous thing, and then they just had them recite what you already knew from the previous thing. And yeah, you do get some decent performances out of these guest appearances, and it's not terrible writing. It just feels kind of lazy and a time filler. It's not really adding anything. There is one scene I will say in particular in the courtroom involving Gary's testimony. His scene I thought was actually pretty good. Not only because he's acting really well, but I thought Joaquin Phoenix's performance, that was probably the best scene of his in the movie overall. There's also one scene where Steve Coogan's character is interviewing Joker, and that was probably another scene that stood out to me as the best part of the film. But those two scenes alone were not enough for this film to be saved, in my opinion. By the end of this film, I was genuinely disappointed. I felt so just trolled by the writers, by the filmmakers, everyone involved in this film, honestly, because you strung me along for 2 hours and almost 20 minutes just to give me the finger and cut to black, and that's what I'm left with? Are you kidding me? It just really shoots itself in the foot and leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And it really begs the question, what was the point of this? We had such a perfect film. Why did you have to go out of your way to tarnish it? Now, people have been giving Todd Phillips praise for swinging for the fences with this one and doing the film that he wanted to do, and I guess I gotta admire that in some capacity, but at the same time, when all I feel is completely betrayed by the end of your movie, Rian Johnson style, I don't even know how to feel about that, man. I walked out of the theater not knowing what to think. I stewed over it on the drive home, and as I was typing up my Letterboxd review, which, by the way, go to the description, check out my Letterboxd, I just had to accept that I don't like this movie. It's really unfortunate because I wanted to. This was one of my highest anticipated films of the year. I'd been following it ever since it was confirmed to be in development in 2022, with Joaquin Phoenix posting pictures of him reading the script, Todd Phillips posting pictures of the concept poster, and every little snippet and detail and still and trailer I was reposting on my Instagram account, which, by the way, go to the description, check out my Instagram account. And now that I've seen it, I don't even know. This is just so weird. Oh man. I mean, I have been known to go see films in the theater multiple times, and this is not a film that I really want to re-experience in the theater again. And it's crazy because I even got to see this in IMAX in a packed theater full of Joker fans. One dude in the front row was actually dressed up as the Joker. If that was you, dude, nice job. Sorry you had to waste all that time and effort for this. Like, I was thinking at the very least I'd be willing to buy it on Blu-ray, maybe get a nice limited edition 4K steelbook just to add it into my collection for peace of mind that I have this complete duology, because I don't really think they're talking about making a third one. I think they just wanted to make 1 and 2 and that was it. Man, I don't even feel like I want to do that, and that really leaves a bad taste in my mouth. I can't believe I was just this let down by this movie. And I don't like saying this really because I'm not the type of person to be very definitive in I'm never going to watch this movie ever again unless it's something that genuinely offends me. But I don't really feel like watching this movie ever again because I went into this loving the original and really wanting to like this one, but it didn't happen. I mean, yeah, it's got technical achievements and the performances are pretty solid, but the narrative completely depletes this film of anything with substance or any purpose in general. And that's why for a score out of 10, I'm just going to have to give it a 5. So Joker Folie, Deux, I got to see it early with a bunch of other people at an AMC IMAX screening. Were you able to get in on that screening, or were you waiting till the opening night? Are you not even going to watch it after hearing my review? Or are you still willing to give it a chance? Did this disappoint you and tarnish the first one? Did it improve and even supersede the first one? I would love to hear what you have to say in the comments down below. Just be respectful about it. No need to go at each other's throats. Just a movie, after all, not the most important thing in the world. And like I mentioned earlier, I do have links in the description to other accounts that I have. Be sure to check out my Instagram, my Letterboxd, my Serialized, and my GG accounts. Letterboxd is where I post my movie reviews, Serialized is where I post my TV show reviews, and GG is where I post my video game reviews. Not all these reviews make it onto the channel, and I post on there quite frequently, so if you want more stuff from me without having to wait around for me to edit a video, then I highly suggest clicking on those links and giving me a follow on each of those platforms. I'm going to have a full spoiler video talking about the things that I didn't like in more detail and explaining why that ending and what it was just really rubbed me the wrong way and why this is tarnishing the original film. So once you've seen the movie, or if you just don't care, then you can watch that once it's posted. But until then, God be with you. Take care.